When I saw the alert on my phone today, we were together, and I said, "Oh no, not him." You know, so many people love this guy.
It takes your breath away.
It sure does. Cincinnati mourning the loss tonight of one of the area's most passionate and dedicated leaders, Dr. Odell Owens, dying today at 74. A shock to everyone who knew him.
Just so adored and respected, including by us here. The former health commissioner, coroner, and president of Cincinnati State was 2 weeks shy of his 75th birthday. And WLWT News 5's Curtis Fuller, who was also a close friend, joins us now with more. Hi there.
Hi there, Mike and Sheree. You know, even as we do this story, it's pretty hard to believe that Odell Owens has passed away. You know, I've known him for nearly 35 years. He would tell you he was a poor kid who grew up in the West End and went on to become a Harvard and Yale graduate. Odell Owens will always be a beloved Cincinnatian.
With all of the credentials that he had, he was always willing to go and make sure that he was doing everything he could to educate and doing everything he could to make sure Cincinnati was just a better place. He loved his hometown.
Dr. Odell Owens was the epitome of success, recognized around the world for his work in the medical field.
You know, I worked for the University of Cincinnati for 4 years. But Curtis, for 29 years, I gave the first lecture to the first year students on their first day. 29 years in a row. I've since done it twice more, so I'm up to 31. More than any other person in the history of the medical school to address the freshman class on what it means to be a physician. So even when I left, even when I was a coroner, even as president of Cincinnati State, they asked me to come back and talk to medical students. And that's what made me feel so proud.
One of his friends, Scotty Johnson, said he affectionately called Dr. Owens Double O.
And I think Double O did everything he could to make sure that people were lifted up versus being torn down. There's a lot of negative going on, but I always saw Double O focusing in on the truth, but making sure people understood that there's a better way to get things done.
I've always said to people, I've worked in the community, yet I always wonder, have I done enough? Have I done enough? And so it just came to a point that said, yes, you have. And it's time to take care of Odell.
Dr. Owens' daughter sharing this statement with us. She said, "My dad was everything. My family and I are at a loss. My father gave so much to this world. His lifelong mission was to make a difference. He certainly did. He touched so many lives," and he sure did. Sure did.
I tell you, I've talked about this with you, Curtis, a couple of times, and I always was amazed when he was coroner. I was a new reporter here in Cincinnati, and seeing him out there when there was a crime, he took it so personally, especially when people would not talk to try and help these victims. And I remember he would stand in the street and sort of kind of yell with his hands in the air and say, "Where are y'all? You saw something." And, he really did, because he wanted to help people who had to live there, who couldn't just up and move. And I just will always remember him for his passion for the kids in this community and people in the city who really needed a lift up,
And we would always, people should know, after the news, we would talk about people who made these statements, and the three of us would normally always talk about how his statements just resonated in a way that so many others didn't. He really will be missed. We feel for his family. He talked about his daughter Morgan, his 2 sons, and his wife. So we're praying for them, and he definitely will be missed.
When you hear his voice in that interview, and I know you sat down with him, hearing his voice kind of makes it harder, doesn't it? It's almost hard to believe that he's gone.
It is, and just this past Saturday, he was at an event, the Men of Honor, a huge crowd down there, and he was selected to be a Man of Honor a few years ago. And then Lincoln Ware was telling me he was on the radio with him on Monday. Monday. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, I was supposed to speak someplace Friday night. I think I might have mentioned this to you. And I had another commitment. So they said, well, can you find someone? I said, the best speaker in this city is Odell Owens.
Who was going to be there.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis, we're so sorry to his family and close friends, and I know close friends include you. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep people updated on his funeral service. Obviously, that's still pending at this point.
I'm glad you were here today to talk about him too.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah.
In a strange way.
All right. Thank you, Curtis. Really appreciate it.